My mother was a very dominant peace activist in Israel. And I grew up on Kibbutz Be'eri with her. And you know, I grew up with those ideas. And when I was younger, when I was, you know, in my 20s, I was also active with a few organizations in Jerusalem, you know, going to the West Bank to accompany Palestinians in their agriculture work because they're being harassed by settlers. Or organizing tours to Hebron. And then I decided to study law because I wanted to be a human rights lawyer. And I started, and then my first kid was born. And I just, you know, I just lived my life.
Yes, I understand.
And it became irrelevant. And in Israel, peace was just dead. Nobody was talking about it, and whoever was talking about it was attacked. And it seemed pointless. And I thought, you know, it was pointless because I didn't have the energy to do it. So it seemed, it's not that I'm not okay, it's that it's not relevant. But I always knew that things are shit. That things are not okay, and as long as there's occupation, the blockade on Gaza, nothing will be good here. Not internally in our society. We can't be a healthy society with the occupation. And not between Israelis and Palestinians. The war was always coming. And then on October 7th, my mother was killed in Kibbutz Be'eri. And I decided I can't continue my life the way it was. Nobody should continue their lives. We have to stop the way things are done here, and we have to accomplish peace. Because, you know, people say, oh, you see, we have to... They hate us so much, they want to kill us, we have to kill them first. And I say, I think October 7th is a wake-up call to that everybody here has to realize that October 7th is the natural outcome of the way we did things up until then. It was coming. It was inevitable. The only way to stop it, and the only way to not have it happen again, is with peace. We can't, you know, Israel can't win Hamas by force because it's an idea. And we can't continue with the occupation and expect to be safe. And the Palestinians can't continue with the fantasy of the right of return and expect to lead good lives. So this conflict is a shared failure. Israel not willing to stop the occupation. Palestinians not willing to forget about the right of return and to accept a deal, a different deal that will grant them life, grant them a new start as a people. So, for me, since October 7th, I quit my job. And this is what I do. I talk to people like you, I talk to the press, I talk to groups of people who want to be inspired by hope and peace thinking. I collaborate with organizations like lobbying with Europe, with the US to create an international alliance for peace that will pressure both sides to start a peace process, a new peace process. So that's mainly what I do in my days, and also, commemorating my mother, creating a new fund in her name.
What's the name of the fund?
It will be the Vivian Silver Fund. So we want to create a fund in order to give to grant prizes every year for a woman that works for peace and shared society in Israel, and promoting women in policy making roles.
Now getting degrees, so the opportunity to talk.
Yes, I mean it's different now. In the beginning, because we believed she was kidnapped, then a lot of people, every day a few interviews. And then after she died, then it was like different types of interviews, but also a lot, but different types. And now it's less, but still, yesterday CBC was here from Canada. But now I'm starting, to work, not only to give interviews.
Yes.
I'm starting to speak to groups or to. Yesterday I was in a meeting with the Family Forum. Do you know that? The Bereaved Family Forum. It's a joint Israeli-Palestinian organization of people who lost their loved ones in, not only October 7th. It's a 30-year-old organization. So they do talks together, Israelis, one Israeli, one Palestinian, that lost people to war, to violence, and they go to speak in schools or in conferences, and then, like, you see that pain is universal, and that if we can, if I can speak with a Palestinian and both of us speak about our pain, what we lost for violence, and you see that we need a different way. And so meetings with other organizations, and for example, Amit, his kids study in a school for Arabs and Jews together. So in a few weeks I'm going to speak. I was invited to speak for all the parent leadership of the school. So they come as 70 parents or 100 parents, and they'll hear. It's like a conference, and they'll hear, and I'll speak. So my purpose now, at this stage, is to speak out and to create legitimation for peace and an interest, and to put it in the public opinion, because politicians need to feel like they can gain something out of dealing with issues, right? So if nobody is speaking about peace, then a politician doesn't have an interest to do anything about it. But if we have a movement, if we speak out and there's a lot of people interested, then it can be translated into political activities. And that's what we need, because the politicians will do, the agreement in the end.
Yeah.
Not me and the Palestinian who lost our parents. We can like each other, it doesn't matter. We need the leaders to sign an agreement.
Actually, how a relationship with Israeli and Palestinian after October 7th, so many.
It got it's complicated. It's not. It's hard. Because in times like this, everybody collapses into their, the small group. And a lot of Palestinians didn't see October 7th. Like we don't see what happens in Gaza now. Israelis don't really see. So they didn't really see and experience what happened here in October 7th. But they do experience what happens in Gaza. They do see it and feel it. And what happens in the West Bank now, which is terrible. And then everybody becomes, Israeli, Palestinian, and not people.
It's just so divided into the pro-Palestine, pro-Israel.
And that's terrible, because organizations like the Family Forum, they've been working together for so many years, and it's not that they're falling apart now, but now they have to deal not only with the work, they have to deal internally in the organization with this split. Because it's very hard to work together now. And between, people, it's I think it's scary to be an Arab now in the country. Like in America, where they arrested Japanese in the people in the Second World War, they had camps. Arabs living in Israel now are they traitors? Are they there? So it's scary for them. And also here, the Jews are scared because it's a big trauma. You live your life, and then such a horrific attack and so cruel, then you look over your shoulder all the time, and you see in the streets people are walking around with guns, which is very scary. It's just, everything just shows us that war brings only bad things. We can't. Nothing good comes out of it, and it's not necessary. It's not that it's our fate, we can't do anything about it. We just need to want, to stop the occupation, and for them to want to stop holding on to the right of return, and that's it. People say it's so complicated, it's not complicated. It's a question of wanting it. And I don't think we want it. But a lot of people who would have wanted it think it can't be done. So I don't need to bother myself with it because it can't be done. It's too complicated. I think if we change the idea that it's not a question of it's complicated, it's a question if we want it, then we can pressure our government to stop the occupation. Because now a minority in the country, the settler movement, is running the country. They're running the agenda. But a lot of people who live in the West Bank are not settlers in their mentality. They live there because Israel gives good conditions to live there. They subsidize living there. So if people in power want to stop the settlement movement, it's very easy. We just need people in power to want it.
Yeah. So maybe before a few days, on Saturday, I went to the Habima Square. So after Shabbat, many people gathering and protest against the government. So that is before 1 year so started, right? So some of them said to me. So actually, now in Israel, so many people don't want the current government, right? Majority is actually I don't know how many population is stand against the government or supporting government or.
The problem is that people don't want the government, this government. It doesn't mean that they want to stop the occupation. A year ago, when I went to demonstration, and I stood there, it was like 200,000 people. Very impressive, very big. In Israel, it's a very, very big demonstration. I looked around and I said, it's not good enough. Because if I take these 200,000 people and I create Israel with them, a new Israel, it will be the same country, only without this government. But it will be with the settlement and with the broken education system and welfare system. And it's not good enough. But now, after October 7th, I think people can realize, that we have to finish this. We have to get to a peace agreement with Palestinian, agreed with the Palestinians what they want, if it's an independent new state or, a federation, whatever. Because it doesn't matter the government. This conflict is killing us from inside, and nothing will be. This country can't go on. It can't develop with this conflict. So things are linked together. This government, they don't want this government. It's linked. Because Bibi, Netanyahu, gets all his power now, the coalition with the settlers. So it's connected.
So now Netanyahu government changed and maybe after that new government coming, but so there's risks of connecting to the settlers.
Yes, and that's why the difference, the difference between a new government and this government. The new government will be more, they will want more to be a part of the world, a part of the Western society. And now we need to put, to ask governments and organizations from Europe, from the United States, to put pressure and help the new government realize that in order to be a part of the world, a part of the West, we need to stop the conflict. Now, this government, it doesn't matter. They want to burn us alive for their ideology. So it doesn't matter if the United States puts pressures or incentives for peace, because they don't want it. But the new government will be more receptive for pressure and incentives from the outside world. That's why I think it's really important to continue with the international interest. You mean Palestinians living in Israel as opposed to Palestinians from Palestine, West Bank and Gaza? Yeah, it's a different it's a different type of people. It's like I don't know, French Canadians.
Before coming to Israel, I didn't have idea. So difference of the Palestinian living in Israel on the West Bank, but I feel so it's very difficult to unite Palestinian people, and also even in Palestinians there's divided into some.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens in places that suffered from colonialism. It's dividing the people. And I think that when the Palestinian state will form, most of the Palestinians who live in Israel with citizenships will stay Israeli citizens. They won't move to Palestine. Most of them, I think. Because it's true, they were cut off from their nation. And also Gaza and the West Bank. You see also a division. It's different, different mentality, different, because we carved, it's like carving a cake. We split, and we treat, different populations we treat differently, with different types of oppression. Gaza has the blockade and giving money for Hamas. The West Bank has the checkposts and the settlements, and weakening the Palestinian Authority. And the Israeli Palestinians, the Palestinians who have Israeli citizenship, they're just a weak minority. We exclude them from political power. But those three groups can't unite and be the same, with the same goals and ambitions, because they're carved. So yeah, it's very hard. You see the difference between Jews, you know, in the States now, progressive Jews, as opposed to conservative there, and in Israel. So Jews in Israel, conservative Jews around the world, progressive Jews around the world. It's three groups. It's not they don't speak the same language. They don't have the same aspirations. But for us, you know, for Jews, it's nuance. It's just it's easy. It doesn't really mean anything that it's three different groups. But for the Palestinians, it means a lot because they don't have the base of having a home, a nation state, and to live, you know, well-off lives in other countries. You know, in Jordan, a lot of them, or in Lebanon, they're refugees. And in Israel, they're a weakened minority. In Gaza, they're in prison. But you see Palestinians in the States that are living good lives. What are they talking about? Yeah, a lot of factors, a lot of... but the solution is easy, I believe. The solution is easy. The way to the solution is hard. Because in order to get to the solution, you need to want it. And we don't want it. That's what's hard. But it's not the other way around. It's not that we don't want it because it's complicated. It's complicated because we don't want it. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. So you think the best solution is so internationally said, so two-state solution, right? So, or
as long as the world is divided to national states, I think, you know, in the future, I think nation states will dissolve. I don't think people will continue with this division into small nation states. It wasn't like that in the past, and I think it will evolve to a different structure in the world, like we see in Europe. It was feudalism, and then like empires and conquest, and then division into states, and now a big federation. With they're blurring the borders between them and using the same money, currency. But as long as, you know, the world is divided into nation states, then Palestinians need a state, two-state solution. Yeah. Now I'm busy with what I'm doing.
Yes.
And I'm, you know, a lot of speaking and meetings, and it will become something in the end. I'm not sure it's we need a new organization. There's so many. You know, people talk about we need a new peace process. What about the Geneva Accord? There are plans. There are solutions. Maybe we just need to pressure and enough people in government to just agree on the solution. Yeah, so I don't know. maybe I'll join an organization. Maybe what I'm doing now is if I'll get more professional in it, this is just what I'll do, be a public speaker. I don't know yet.